Thank you for coming into our living room, and if you could start, just like Una did, with telling us a little bit about your early years.
Sure. So, I'm born in Christchurch. My father, Tusiata Avia, who, is hanging about here with us, so watch it.
Yeah, I'm kidding.
He was one of the very first waves of Pacific migration, so came here in 1952, and very quickly to Christchurch. So he was one of 7 first Samoans, and I see the daughter of one of the other ones, Chris Moa. So, he was one of the founding kind of Pacific or Samoans in Christchurch.
Wow.
And so proud to be his daughter. And I know that he would be so proud of me. He's passed. And so would my mum. She's 90 and she is back in Christchurch. So born in Christchurch. Never liked it there. But I was born in 1966, so I grew up during dawn raids when I was a kid. What was that, Springbok tour?
Yeah, that was big.
When I was a teenager, it was a really crap time to be a brown girl. There was nothing cool about being a brown girl in Christchurch. Believe me, just nothing. So, and by a cruel twist of fate, I'm living there again. In my childhood home in Aranui, it's very weird. Because I was desperate to escape,
And was Victoria University part of that escape?
Oh, a very, very long. I think I was away from New Zealand. Well, I was away from Christchurch for 20 years, or maybe more, and away from New Zealand for 10. And Victoria was when I finally decided, I can be a writer, because, to be honest, I didn't think that brown girls like me were allowed to be writers,
Wow.
And it took me a long time. It took me till my 30s to be disabused of that notion. And that was coming here at the very end of the 90s. And, because there'd been this huge explosion in the Pacific arts. And my cousin, Victor Roger, who was a great playwright, introduced me to all these marvellous people, filmmakers and directors and actors and writers. And I thought, oh my God, saw people like me, and I thought, I could do this too. And went away back overseas and thought about it for a while, and then came back. And the IIML was nearly my landing place. First I went to Whetidea and then IIML, but it was massive for me.
Yeah,
It was massive.
How did that light your fire?
Yeah, it just to get in the first place was a really big deal. I didn't get in the first time round because I wrote something that was probably quite crap when I look back and think about it. But I met one of my dearest friends there, Hinewana Baker, who of course is a amazing poet and is also now the godmother of my daughter. And Bill Manhire, who was my teacher, he was very kind to me. And at the time I was thinking, why? Because after the the course had finished, he kind of opened some doors for me to do some really awesome things, go to Russia and on a tour with like all these really flash poets, including himself, in Europe. And I'm like, why are you doing this for me, you know? But I figure after all this time, he must have kind of realised I'd be quite good at this.
Yeah.
So,
I think
yeah.
he was right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this work that you're quite good at, there's another way of describing that. It's incredibly edgy. It challenges historical and cultural narratives, you know, through art. You push the boundaries. You've had supporters like Bill Manhire, but you've also had critics as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How have you dealt with that your work is so challenging?
Well, you know, it's the critics have been now, right? Like, I haven't really had any critics until now. And, you know, some of you may know all the bullshit that went down with ACT and, what's that guy's name? Sean Plunkett and those guys.
I'm PatrickGower, so you're all good.
Yeah.
It's sort of like New Plymouth and Christchurch.
Yeah.
I'm the New Plymouth version.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, I mean, that was really crazy.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that was really crazy. You know, it was a poem. It was in my book for 3 years before they discovered this dreadful thing and decided, what they call me, racist, hate-fueled racist. That's me. I was thinking of calling my book that, hate-fueled racist. Yeah.
You still can.
Oh, I've already published the new one, right? Yeah.
In case the audience
I'll let
hasn't,
you say that. Do you want to say that?
No, you go. You tell them the
No,
name.
you say it.
It's your book.
No, I want to see a white man say it.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
That's why I called it that, Patty.
Yeah, I've got it here. I'm just not sure if I want.
Because I knew that it would be you that would
Yeah.
say it in front of everyone for the first time ever.
It's big,
Go on.
brown. Bitch.
No, big, fat.
Big fat brown bitch.
He did well. He did well. Yeah.
Do you want me to big fat brown bitch? I'll say it with confidence.
Yeah. Yeah.
Once you say it once, it's easy.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Everyone will be saying it soon.
Yeah. Yeah, I want everyone to say it.
Yeah. And tell us about that while we're talking about it.
Well, the whole first section is my response to David Seymour and the like, and all of that insane stuff. Because, of course, David Seymour, he doesn't care about poetry or me or even if I'm a hate-fueled racist or not. But, you know, it was just airtime in the run-up to the election. I can't remember what we were talking about.
Yeah, we're just talking about big fat brown bitch.
So the whole first section is that an answer to all of that stuff, because you know there were 300 complaints to Race Relations Commission, whole flood of hate mail and a death threat. So I was telling the pro vice chancellor today about that. She was saying, so how did you deal with all of that? And I was saying, well, I just really shut myself off. Didn't read anything. But yeah, death threat will get you, especially when it comes from a white supremacist who lives in your own city, you know. So I don't know, like maybe it's maybe I should kind of take it as a medal to be able to cause that kind of ruckus with a poem.
I think you
Yeah.
should. Yeah, exactly. And your poetry, and this was going to be the white man's way of asking this question, your poetry obviously explores what it's like to be a Pacific woman in New Zealand. That was my way of saying, can you talk about big fat brown bitch, but you let that particular bitch out of the bag, as they say. So,
Well, like all the bitches out of the bag. Yeah.
Yeah, but how important has that been to communicate that experience through your work of being a Pacific woman in New Zealand?
Well, I mean, ultimately it's important for me because I'm the only person I write for, you know. I never think about my audience.
Wow.
I just write for myself. I don't think about what might work for, I don't know, the market, the reader, because that's, no, I don't think about that when I'm writing, and if I ever do, you know, I just push that out of the way. I've kind of trained myself to do that now. I just write for myself, you know, and if people like it, then that's awesome. And I'm always a bit surprised. But yeah, that's what I do, yeah.
And doing the masters, you talked about it a little bit earlier, but you know, doing that masters course, how did that accelerate what you're doing, or how did that help you find the creative force that you became?
Well, I got that kind of beginning at Whitireia, but I think doing that course at Vic really let me go into poetry, you know, and realise, okay, this is my place. And you know, Bill kind of left us to kind of figure things out on our own a lot, which was good, you know. And by the end of the masters, I had an early version of Wild Dogs under my skirt. Yeah, so it was a really great holding place, and by holding I mean holding place. And that, you know, that was being in the company of other writers. Yeah, I think back on it with great kind of fondness, and I wonder if I could do it again. Yeah.
Yeah. And what advice would you have for anyone like yourself trying to become a poet, become a creator?
I mean, we're all creators, right? Like everybody is a creator in some way or another. Like we human beings are creative. And I think if you're drawn towards poetry in any way at all, you should just do it. And find ways to support yourself around it, you know. Because it's a really individual and quite lonely thing to do. You know, it's not like being in a band or, you know, being able to play with lots of other people. It's very solo, and I'm not a very solo person. So I find it quite lonely. I find writing quite lonely. But I think for people who feel like that's what, somewhere deep inside you to do that. I wanted to be a writer from when I was 10, but I didn't find the permission to do that until I was in my 30s from seeing those other people. And I think, you know, often it's that permission feeling that permission, that feeling like you're allowed to do it. I don't know if any of you struggle with that. But yeah, it's finding that, and if you can't find it in yourself, then surrounding yourself with people that will help you find that. And then just writing for yourself, right? What you care about, you know. I can't imagine not doing that. I think when I get to the end of my life, I often think about this, because I'm poor. Like, I'm really poor. It's really stupid. I don't own a house, don't own a car. Anyway, I'm not trying to, like, make you start up a, what are those things called? GoFundMe thing or anything. Yeah. But if you want to, what was I saying? If on my deathbed I can look back and go, yes, I did what I came to this planet to do, then my life would have been worth it. And that's kind of what I feel like I'm doing.
I think you are. Yeah. A round of applause, please. It's a great place to leave it.